You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show with your hosts, the Fantasy Insider, Matt Brick, the Commish, Henry Brick, and the Doctor, Jeff Hathcock. Good evening, gentlemen. I am Matt Brick, the Insider. I'm here with Henry, the Commish Brick, and Jeff, the Doctor. How are we doing this evening?
Man, doing great, Matt. We had a great bunch of games this weekend. Two games Monday night, although the second game was a little bit of a snooze fest. But man, it's just great that we're now in the thick of things with football. It's great stuff.
Yeah, listen, it was another awesome week. Some not so great games, but some incredible games. Definitely some fantasy superstars rising, and kind of taking over. Just how incredible they are. Ruma Dunze on Ross St. Brown. I played in a Superflex league this week. My quarterback scored 6 points. I had two quarterbacks that scored 6 points total. I won that week because of those two gentlemen. Incredible performance. I'm very excited, Matt. Very excited, Henry. Can't wait to talk football.
All right. Well, let's get right into the news. There was a lot of unfortunate injuries this past weekend. Joe Burrow has grade 3 turf toe. He's expected to miss 3 months. Jake Browning looking like he's going to be the guy moving forward. They also signed a couple of quarterbacks, I guess for depth, or maybe someone else starts, but I think Jake Browning will be the guy. J.J. McCarthy has a high ankle sprain. He's expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. It's a shame, but Carson Wentz looking to play there. Justin Fields is in concussion protocol. He's questionable for week 3. Jaden Daniels has a right knee sprain and is also questionable for week 3. Austin Eckler unfortunately tore his Achilles last Thursday night, not with a non-contact injury. It's just a shame. He's definitely one of the best to play.
And a big fantasy guy too.
Yeah, he loves to play fantasy, and it's a shame. It's a shame to see that happen to him. Aaron Jones was put on IR earlier today. He has a hamstring strain. He will miss at least 4 weeks, and Jordan Mason will probably start. Jaden Reed broke his collarbone on Thursday Night Football and is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. The Bucs defender Kalijah Cansey tore his pec and is out for the season. And I found out that Brian Thomas Jr. played on Sunday with a wrist injury, and that was like a big deal because he wasn't on the injury report, and people were kind of like, what the heck? And they were asking the coach, why didn't you put him on the injury report? And he kind of didn't give a straight answer because that's probably not allowed. So, yeah, that is all we have.
Not what you want to do on camera.
To add.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate stuff for sure. But I have high hopes, as we'll get into it later on the show for Brian Thomas.
Okay, all right. Let's just get straight into the stardom system. First, you are listening to us on Cruiser 92.1 WVLT Vineland, and you're listening to us live streaming on YouTube. You can listen to us on YouTube. The live stream is on there for free, so you can watch us anytime. All right, let's get into the stardom sit-em. This is the best part of the week. I'll go first. Why not? So this is week 3. It is still very early in this fantasy football year, but we must move on. My first start of the week is DJ Moore. The Bears play Dallas this week, and they are one of the worst in the league against the pass. They're actually 30th. Trayvon Diggs just allowed 4 catches, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns, which I believe they were both against Neighbors, which was just like, wow. I think DJ Moore is due for a big game against Dallas this week, so you're going to want to start him. Next up, I have Patrick Mahomes. Yes, obviously Mahomes didn't do that great against the Philadelphia Eagles, but this week he has the Giants, and I do not think they're going to start 0-3. This is the first time they've gone 0-2 in the Mahomes era, so I don't see them. I can't imagine them going 0-3. I just can't. The Giants are the 29th against the pass. Xavier Worthy also may be coming back. Who knows? I guess we'll get an update on that throughout the week. But not only that, the Giants are also the worst against the run, 32nd. So Mahomes can also get some rushing yards. I think Mahomes is angry, and we'll go off against this poor Giants defense. Lastly, I have the Chargers running backs against the Broncos this week, and here is why. Jonathan Taylor just went off against the Broncos last week and finished as the RB1 for the week. He ran for 165 yards and caught 2 balls for 50 yards and a touchdown. Whether it's Amari Hansen or Najee Harris getting the ball, I believe they will produce a great game against the Broncos. Keep in mind, the Broncos' rushing defense went from being 8th after week 1 to 20th after week 2. The Colts just exposed the Broncos' defense. That is my starts. Henry, who do you have to start this week?
Well, Matt, you stole a little of my thunder because I also loved Patrick Mahomes, but might I say, the obvious choices this week, your Josh Allen's, your Saquon Barkley's, CD Lamb. But here at Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show, we like to dig a little deeper. Not maybe some obvious, maybe some not so obvious choices. You talked about Mahomes. I think he's such a great play against the Giants. They give up they just give up a ton against the Cowboys. So, but my quarterback is going to be Jordan Love versus the Browns, guys. They gave up 4 touchdowns last week to Lamar Jackson, and Jordan threw for 292 yards. And the team looks great. He looks great, even though Reed's out with the collarbone. I think this team's just on a great trajectory. Savion Williams, popped in there. They have so many receivers. Next man up. So Jordan Love, I think, is a great start this week. Chase Brown versus the Vikings. Bijan just put up 143 yards. Okay, last week. So against the Vikings. So Chase Brown, I think, is due to finally have a monster game. We all drafted him pretty high. He's probably your 1 or 2. It went in the first or second round, depending on your league scoring and how your drafts went. But I think he's due for a big game, especially with Burrow out. Browning's in. I think he's a very serviceable quarterback for sure. But I think he's poised to put up some big numbers. And then Tyler Warren, tight end. He goes up against the Titans, who gave up 6 for 79 against the Rams last week. Guess what? I think Warren is a beast. I think he's a favorite target of Mr. Danny Dimes, and I think he puts up some really big numbers. Make sure he's in your lineup this week for sure. What do you got there, Jeff?
Yeah, I love the Tyler Warren pick, Henry. I've been high on him all offseason. He was electric as a player back in college, and I think he's just going to continue to shine. But for me, listen, the Bears have been humbled in consecutive weeks by J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't looked all that impressive. He racked up 3 touchdowns against them in the fourth quarter in their Week 1 Monday night game, and then Jared Goff just torched this secondary for 5 touchdowns in a Week 2 rout. As long as Jalen Johnson remains out, I think Chicago's secondary is going to just remain leaky. And that's going to give Dak Prescott and those boys, he's averaging 43 passing attempts per game through the first 2 weeks. Plenty of opportunities to make plays down the field. Dak is going to be a smash for me this week. I think this is going to be a shootout, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the episode when we go to DFS. And then for my running back, Aaron Jones, like Matt said before, he suffered the hamstring injury at the end of the Sunday Night Football game, lost to the Falcons. He's out. He's not expected to play anytime soon. And with that, I'm going to give it to Mason, especially with Carson Wentz coming in to back up J.J. McCarthy. I think Mason's going to get the rock a lot. I think they're going to rely on the run. They're not going to have Wentz throw the ball over the field. And then he's been the better back out of the two of them running the ball these past 2 weeks anyway. As a runner, he's totaled just 98 yards with a 4.1 yards per carry average. That could position him to fare well against the Cincinnati defense that's allowed the third most fantasy points per game to running backs through the first 2 weeks. And going back to that Dallas game, Dallas has traded away Micah Parsons like we've been harping on for since that trade. They've allowed an average of 30.5 per points per game. It's tied for fifth most in the NFL. And then Russell Wilson just threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns in week 2. Caleb Williams, he's still got some growing pains, but I think they're going to look to bounce back with Ben Johnson. So right now, Rome Odunze is his guy. I mean, he currently leads the Bears in catches. He's got 13 on the year, receiving yards 165. And by the way, he has all 3 of their touchdown receptions. The guy is awesome. I love this dude coming out of college. He was put in a bad situation. They all were put in a really bad situation last year with Shane Waldron. He just could not get that offense going. And we see the same thing happen right now with the Jaguars because that offense is just stagnant. But Odunze looks incredible. He's even dropping. So he should have had a bigger day on Sunday. He dropped passes that were right in his chest. He could have had a much bigger day. So I think he's just a smash start, guys.
All right, let's get into our sit-ems of the week. I will get that going. All right, so as much as I hate to say this as a Josh Jacobs owner, but I plan on sitting him this week against the Browns. The Browns are the number 1 defense against the run, allowing 45.5 rushing yards a game. In week 2, Derrick Henry was shut down. He had 23 rushing yards and 2.3 fantasy points. Josh Jacob owners, you have been warned. I know I'm mentioning another Packer here, but don't start Matthew Golden. Wait until the production comes to him. I still see him as a hold, but if he doesn't do anything by week 4, then I'll probably be out on him this season. Golden only had 2 targets against the Commanders on Thursday Night Football. He only had 15 yards, which is really frustrating. But the wild thing is that the Browns also have an excellent pass defense, which is the 3rd in the league, allowing 169 yards per game. Golden is very talented, but we still need to wait on his production. Next and lastly, you're going to want to bench all Dolphins wide receivers because they're going up against the Bills this week on Thursday Night Football. The Bills are the number 1 passing defense in the league. The Dolphins alone just haven't been playing great football at all, and the Bills will probably dominate them at home this Thursday. So don't give yourself the stress. Just bench the Dolphins wide receivers. Jeff, who do you have to sit this week?
Yeah, listen, I just talked about him before. Jared Goff had an electric week 2 against the Bears. He threw for just those 5 touchdowns against them last week. But he's got a much harder matchup against the Ravens in week 3. The Ravens gave Joe Flacco, he was a less mobile veteran, just absolute fits. And they're probably going to do the same to Goff. And just fun fact, Goff has never thrown a touchdown pass against this Ravens team in 3 career starts. That's over 120 attempts throwing the ball. That includes his 53 points or 53 attempt performance in a 38-6 shellacking in Baltimore just a couple years ago in the 2023 NFL season. It's also an outside game. We know Jared Goff. We know he's kind of a different animal altogether when he's inside the dome, but playing outside, it's just not his forte. So even though he carried me in one league and he had an incredible game, I'm looking to stream someone and not play him this week. And then another guy I'm just not looking to play. Again, he played well against the Ravens, but Quinshon Judkins. We were harping on it before. The Packers have one of the, if not the best defense right now in the league. They've allowed the second fewest fantasy points per game to running backs this season and have yet to allow a single touchdown to one. I just think Judkins, he's not going to break that trend against Halfley's elite defense, and he's definitely the best running back they've got right now. But I'm not confident in him. And Chris Olave, he's still New Orleans' top receiver. I think he's with this new offense that they have over there. I think the offense is fun. Like, it's not a great offense, but it's fun to watch. They're throwing the ball like crazy. But the Seahawks defense that he's playing this week, they've allowed the fewest fantasy points per game to wide receivers this season. Add in that Spencer Rattler is set to start in a tough road environment against a great pressure defense. Right now, the Seahawks are generating pressure at a league best 49.4% a clip. And that, for me, it's just a tough matchup all around. So I'm trying to fade Olave where I can. How about you?
Wow, Jeff, we're the same mind with the Browns running backs. I would bench all Browns running backs against this Packers defense. They gave up just 51 yards against the Commanders last week. So I know Junkins is great. Sedum, Sampson, Ford, all got to be on the bench this week. All right, you've got to have better options out there. You drafted Junkins as a lottery ticket anyway. I'm sure you have some better options. I'm sure there'll be better options for him moving forward, but not this week. McConkey goes up against Patrick Surtain with the Broncos. Patrick Surtain, man, he's a shutdown kind of guy. I'm not liking. Hopefully, you have a better option other than McConkey. If you start him, you just got to temper expectations. I get it. If that's just kind of how your team laid out, if you got to go with McConkey, hopefully you have some other options there that will help your team still get the win this week. And then finally, Chuba Hubbard goes up against the Falcons. They only gave up 78 yards on the ground to the Vikings last week. So, I mean, that second half of that Panthers game was kind of crazy. But I don't know, man. I don't know if Chuba's going to be the guy that's going to get this done this week. So, again, hopefully, if you have started, you have to temper expectations, but these are absolute sets for me this week, especially if we're going to talk DFS, which we will a little bit later on in the show.
All right, let's get into our favorite Dude I'm Sorry segment. Henry, why don't you start us off?
Okay. Man, I tell you, I have been just, killing myself over this. I really liked J.J. McCarthy, as you both know, especially after the second half of the first week matchup. Sadly, this week he showed me he's just not ready for prime time. And for that, dude, I am sorry. But on a flip note, I did love as my long shot last week, Elick Aomanor. He ends up with a 79% snap share and a 20% target share last week. Puts up 15.6 fantasy points. He definitely has wide receiver one potential. So, sorry I let you down about JJ. He did get hurt in my defense. He does have an injury and he's going to be out, but he still does not look ready to go for sure. But Elick, hopefully, he's probably a great pickup this week if he's out there, and I think he's going to put up some big numbers moving forward for sure.
All right, I'll get onto my Dude I'm Sorry. Last week I told you to start Keon Coleman, who had a whopping 3 catches for 26 yards and a 5.6 fantasy points. And for that, dude, I'm sorry. However, I did tell you to benchmark Andrews last week, who had 1 catch for 2 yards and 1.4 fantasy points. And for that, dude, you're welcome. Jeff, you should hear all the names I hear on Sundays that aren't proper, correct names. Please go.
What are you trying to say? What are you saying?
Man. Say Elick Aomanor 5 times fast. Yeah, so I listen. I was big on Justin Fields. I thought a lot of people, not just myself, but a lot of people were fooled. But at the top of that division, it's still the Bills. Justin Fields, he was a bust. 3 completions for 27 yards. He was part of that team I had where I talked in the beginning where I said I had six points total between 2 quarterbacks in a superflex and somehow won. He was part of that wonderful couple of QBs. He was a non-factor. The entire Jets offense was a non-factor. Now he's in concussion protocol. So for that, if you did start him looking for the upside, chasing it with me, dude, I'm sorry. On the flip side, though, Travis Etienne, he's got that backfield right now. He's getting the work. I mean, Bashal Tootin, he played more, but if you were starting Travis Etienne, he still had a great week for you guys. So if you did start him, keep plugging away, especially as this offense continues to hopefully mesh when it comes to Travis Lawrence and his wide receivers. If it doesn't, I mean, Travis Etienne is going to be the guy. I mean, he led the team in targets. I think that's kind of nuts that he's all of a sudden back to that starting role. So great for him, and it's nice to see for sure.
All right, let's get right into our DFS lineups of the week. I'll start it off with my DFS lineup of the week. All right, I have Patrick Mahomes against that Giants team. Like I was saying earlier, I think he's going to have a great game. I'm okay. I think 6,500 is a decent value for Mahomes, so I'm going with Mahomes. I have Devon Achan. I'm blanking on who they play. Oh, they play the Bills. The Bills don't have a good rushing defense. I think that's right, and that's why I'm going with the Chan there at 6,800. I'm also going with Chase Brown at 6,900. They play the Vikings, who do not have a good rushing defense, like Henry was saying earlier. Bijan just had a game against them. Now, I have Deebo Samuel in here. I will take him out if Jaden Daniels does not play, but I have him in there for now at 6,100. Jameson Williams at 5,900. The Lions play the Ravens this week. I believe that's Monday Night Football, if I'm not mistaken. That's a great game. I'm really excited to watch that. So, I think that's a good game for Jameson Williams. At 5,000, I have Jawan Jennings. Yes, I know that Brock Purdy still may not play, but Mac Jones targeted him a lot last Sunday, so I like him there. And at tight end, you can't go wrong with Juwan Johnson. He's all reliable for Spencer Rattler there at 3,900. That is a deal. So that is my tight end. At flex, I have Roma Dunze. As Jeff was stating earlier, this could be the year for Roma Dunze. This could be the breakout year. So I like him. I'm forgetting who everyone plays, but Roma Dunze, I think he has a good matchup there. Let's go with him. And finally, for my defense, I got the Seahawks defense, and I believe they play the Saints this week. So that is my lineup. Jeff, who do you have?
I talked a little bit about it before. You got Dallas and you got the Bears. They're going up against each other. I've got Dak Prescott 5,900. I think he's going to throw the ball a lot. Javonte has been great, and that's why I also got him in the lineup 6,100. I think this is going to be one of those games where the defenses really don't show up. Javonte's on a roll right now. He's scored at least 1 touchdown in each of his 2 games so far. And then the Bills are going up against the Dolphins. The last time James Cook played them last year, he was pretty lights out. I got him for 6,600. I still remember that game where Tua got knocked out and he ran literally all over them and was the running back one on the week. Sticking back with Dallas, going with CeeDee Lamb 8,000. Again, if Dak's throwing the ball the way I think he's going to be throwing it, whether it's CeeDee Lamb or Pickens, I think they're going to be very good. On the flip side of that, I'm going with Roma Dunze, 5,300. I think he's the wide receiver 1 over there, and I think Ben Johnson's going to just keep unlocking him this year. Zay Flowers, I want to be a part of that Ravens offense, especially if they're going to have to be going up against the Lions. I think he's the number one target right now for Lamar. Even though D Hop's looking really good, catching all these long balls in the end zone. Mason Taylor, I got him for 2,600. It's probably going to be no Fields because of the backup coming in there. He's a safety blanket. I think he's just going to be there. He's going to catch a few balls here and there, but maybe he finds his way into the end zone. 2,600, very cheap. For the flex, I've got JSN. The dude's been lights out. I was very high in JSN coming into the year. I've gotten him in a couple drafts where I think it was a steal. I definitely think he's going to continue to get hyper targeted. He's going to start facing defenses that are a little bit tougher, but I just think he's a smash for me at 6,500. And then I'm going with the Patriots defense for 2,600. Just a cheap little something. I think it's going to pay off for me in the end. How you feeling, Henry?
Well, I like a lot of the guys that you both picked. Actually, really great stuff. I'm going to go with a big bang to start with Josh Allen going up against Miami. It is a Thursday night football game, which I hate for fantasy, but it's such a smash play. I don't see how he can't do well. He had a rough fantasy week last week, and with that great Miami defense, I think he has a great bounce back this week. So it's 7,400. I think he is an absolute dealio. When we go running back, I'm really liking Saquon Barkley. He is a ball hog. We have a new offensive coordinator in Philadelphia this year, and it's really showing, especially with the routes that A.J. Brown is getting. As Matt knows, I was pretty upset about that on Sunday. It seems like he has one play, and the guy is an absolute thoroughbred, a monster receiver, and they just have to figure out how to open that guy up because he's great. But Barkley, being the ball hog that he is, and I think gets it done against the Rams at home for $7,800. I'm also going Jordan Mason. I think one of you guys picked him. He plays the Bengals at home. There's obviously a quarterback switch there. J.J. McCarthy is out. Aaron Jones out. Jordan Mason, to me, anyway, whether Aaron Jones is hurt or not, he has the juice, man. They traded for this guy. I think he does really, really big things, and I think Aaron Jones is going to have a hard time actually keeping his job if he ever does come back. At wide receiver, I like Amon-Ra St. Brown going up against the Baltimore defense. I think this could be a big sort of slugfest like we saw when Baltimore played the Bills. 7,400. Again, a guy, it's obviously a very chalky play if you're talking about tournament play, but I think in cash play, he's a must start. JSN, I'm in agreement with you, Jeff. 6,500 goes up against the Saints. That Saints secondary is absolutely horrible. Okay, I think Georgia Bulldogs could take them. Honestly, okay, that's how bad I think they are. And then I'm sticking with my long shot of last week, Elick Aomanor. Okay, 3,700. This guy. Okay, remember, he put up 15.6 fantasy points last week. He goes up against Indianapolis. He is at home. He is a favorite, it seems to be, for Cam Ward to throw the ball. And the nice thing about this $3,700 buy, it allowed me to pay heavier on guys like Barkley and Amon-Ra. I could. It gives me some big options at the upper end of the DFS lineup. So that's why I like doing that. Tight end, I'm sticking. I think, Matt, you had this guy, Juwan Johnson. Man, he's getting peppered with the ball, right? 3,900 goes up against Seattle this week. Juwan Johnson is just getting it done every week, and I think he's a great DFS play tight end. He's a great play in regular fantasy as well. So I think he's a good guy to have in your lineup. Darnell Mooney, I go with my flex. He was back last week. He goes up against Carolina. He's only 4,500. He still has plenty of juice. And although he wasn't targeted a whole bunch last week, they only threw like 21 or 22 passes. But I think a lot's going to be coming his way moving forward. And then my defense, I'm going with the Chiefs. 3,300. I don't see them going 0-3 either, even though they are at the Giants, and I'd love to see the Giants beat them and make them 0-3. I think, sadly, Jeff, I know you're a big Giants and Chiefs, I think, are going to find a way to get it done on Sunday.
I think so too.
We hope the Giants win, Jeff.
Thank you so much.
All right. Let's get into our sleepers / long shots. I'll give you my sleeper. No, I'm not calling him a sleeper. I'm calling him my long shot. With Jaden Reed out, I expect to see more Matthew Golden, but we can also see more of Savion Williams, the rookie out of TCU. He is fast and was a running back that turned to wide receiver. We saw glimpses of him last Thursday night, and I expect his workload to increase during Reed's absence. So if you really want a long shot, Savion Williams. Henry, who do you got?
All right, my long shot of the day, Josh Palmer. This week he goes up against the Dolphins. Listen, last week, 2 catches, 47 yards on 3 targets, but Dolphins' defense is terrible, which we've been stating all night. Josh Allen obviously needs a nice bounce-back fantasy game, and I think Josh Palmer helps him get it done. I think he gets a long one in this one. So I really do like him very much. How about you, Jeff? Who you got?
Yeah, for me right now, it's Troy Franklin. He started to surface in the NFL. He caught 8 of his 9 targets and for 89 yards and a touchdown. He's got the number 2 role right now on lock for the wide receivers. I think he's in a smash spot. No one else, with the exception of Sutton, has really stepped up like he has. And I'm super excited for this division rival game against the Chargers. The offense right now for the Chargers, their offensive line is doing whatever they want these first 2 games. They are pushing people around. They are giving Herbert all the time in the world to throw. And, I mean, Danny Dimes just lit up this defense for Denver. So I think if this is a shootout, I think Troy Franklin, he's going to have to come play. He's going to have to, get involved early and often. And I just love him as a flex spot this week, especially if you're in deeper leagues and you're looking for some huge upside. I think he's going to have himself a great game.
Great stuff.
All right. Let's get into our waiver wire pickups. I can start it off. I'll piggyback off of what Jeff was just saying and talk about Troy Franklin some more. Troy Franklin might just be the wide receiver 2 on this Denver offense. As much as I really wanted it to be Marvin Mims, Franklin had 9 targets in week 2. He caught 8 for 89 and a touchdown. Plus, if you didn't know, Troy Franklin and Bo Nix used to play with each other at Oregon. That is those 9 targets represent a 30% target share, which is exactly what you want for fantasy football. I'm not scared of Marvin Mims anymore because his targets dropped from week 1, 4 targets, to week 2, 2 targets. Yes, he did score 1 touchdown, but so did Troy Franklin. So I think I'm hoping and I'm praying because I feel like Sean Payton's just really weird with all this kind of stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if next week it's just a huge Marvin Mims week, completely out of nowhere.
It's like he hates fantasy. He hates fantasy. He kills us.
But he loves football and he likes to win.
He does.
So
you've loved Troy Franklin since last year, man.
I drafted him in our dynasty league, yes, but I also have Marvin Mims in that same dynasty league. I'm a big fan of both receivers. And I was really high on Mims this year. And listen, I'm not saying he's definitely not going to go where I thought he was going to be. But I think Franklin totally can. I mean, this was a big jump. Like Franklin had 1 target week 1. Now he had 8. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. He had 9. I think he had 6 the last week in week 1. So it did come up, and he actually did a great job. So that's one of my pickups for this week for sure. I'm sure everyone else is telling you to go grab Troy Franklin off waivers. I paid $50 fab today for Troy Franklin, and we'll see if I'm
Wow.
regretting that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let's see. Yeah. All right. My next pickup is Najee Harris. His production increased last night on Monday Night Football.
Cyclops.
I did not watch the
Sorry.
entire game because I went to bed, but he did have 8 carries for 28 yards and 2 catches for 20 yards. This tells me that Najee Harris is not going away in this backfield. He will be a part of this backfield. His attempts jumped from 1 to 8 carries from weeks 1 and 2, which is a 50% split between him and Hampton. So to me, this is showing that Najee's production will stay the same or increase. I don't know what it is, but even I think Jeff said it earlier, or maybe it was in a group chat or something. But Hampton, man, like because I heard he fumbled and it wasn't good, and I don't know. It's interesting.
To me, it's all the money.
Before anyone says anything, keep in mind you can go watch a different episode, and I was the one on here screaming, saying, "Why are we drafting Amari Hampton as the RB15?" And everyone's going, "Well, what? He's the RB15. Why are we?" And I'm like, "No, he's a rookie running back. Why are we doing it?" So I was totally out on him. And I was more honestly, I think I even drafted Najee Harris in the league, and obviously I did pick him up in today earlier, but I think I got him for like $5 or $10. So, but yeah, I listen. This is interesting. I'm excited to see where this goes for Najee, but I don't know about Hampton. I don't think he's. I think it's obvious. I don't think he's going to be RB15 this year. It's not. I don't think it's happening.
No, that price point, especially right now, Matt. The way the Chargers are throwing the ball, how could he like? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, unless he turns into Austin Eckler and he just starts catching balls and he's going nuts. Like, but he's not Austin Eckler. He's a hammer. You know, he's supposed to be this big guy who runs people over, and right now he's he's not doing that at all. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, man.
It's only week 2, so you got to get. And he is a rookie.
You gotta keep that in mind. You are also listening to us on Cruiser 92.1 WVLT Vineland, and you're listening to us live here on YouTube. Henry, who do you have for your waiver wire pickups?
Well, sadly, as you brought up at the beginning of the show, many of us, including myself, lost Joe Burrow. I think if he comes back, it'll be for fantasy playoffs. Wouldn't count on that. JJ McCarthy, another guy you may have lost. You may be losing Jaden Daniels this week. So you need a quarterback. Guys, the quarterback to pick up this week is Danny Dimes. He's getting it done, okay? He averaged 22 fantasy points both weeks, okay? And he did it against the litmus test of the Denver Broncos. So I think he's a great pickup, and he has a great schedule coming up. He has the Titans. He has the Rams. He has the Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals. That's a great schedule. He's on the right team with the right coach to put up some great fantasy numbers. So awesome pickup. I'm telling you. Put your fab on that. If you just lost Burrow, you need a quarterback, right? So he's getting it done. I mentioned him earlier, I think a couple of times already, Darnell Mooney. Definitely a guy with a lot of juice. He did have 19% of the target shares this week, although there wasn't that very many targets. But he's back, and I think he is a guy that will be targeted well in that Atlanta offense for sure. Now, my last guy I have here, I think we're all a little upset. I know I am. I know Matt is for sure. Mark Andrews. I don't know if you have any shares of Mark Andrews, Jeff, but he has just been
Dropped him today.
death.
Dropped him today in the league.
Is it? Yeah, death. So I think if you have room on your bench, if you have a spot that you could hold this guy, because I don't think he's back till week 5. It's Isaiah Likely. Okay, because I think when he comes back, he's going to add a lot of juice to that offense. And I think it's time for Mark to sit back and do a little more admin role, little admin role for Mark Andrews. Okay, that's what I got from my waiver wire pick out. I hope that helps everyone out this week.
Yeah, listen. Likely is interesting. Obviously, it's tough. It's only week 3, and if he's to be coming back in week 5, it stinks to kind of have a guy sitting on your bench just collecting dust and then hoping. But yeah, I don't think Likely is a bad one. I mean, truthfully, I have a league that I play in. I don't have Joe Burrow anymore. I had the stack with Jamar Chase, and that's not a thing. I went straight for Danny Dimes. I mean, like you said, he's got a decent schedule coming up. The one team on there that I'm a little bit shaky on is the Rams. The Rams defense looks very legit this year. They played 2 tough games right now, and they basically did whatever they wanted against Cam Ward, and they made C.J. Stroud look kind of silly. But yeah, I like Danny Dimes. He does everything Steichen wanted Anthony Richardson to do, which is throw the ball, spread the ball out, and then be able to run. Like Danny Dimes is playing great football right now. You can't take that away from him. But for me, right now, especially if you're in deeper leagues, I'm looking at Wan'Dale Robinson. Week 2 in Dallas, he caught 8 passes for a career high 142 yards and a touchdown. And Russell Wilson's going to want to throw the ball, and if they're going to be in this higher scoring contests and he's throwing the deep ball, that's a big thing too. Like I mean, Wan'Dale since he's been in the league, he's been this dump off guy behind the line of scrimmage, and he's a PPR cheat code because he didn't get any yards. But if they're throwing the ball, he had I believe his average was 20 air yards this past week. If he's getting that kind of volume and he's getting that kind of balls thrown to him, I think he's a smash pickup, especially if you're in deeper leagues. I love him. And then I think Matt talked about it before. Jaden Reed's out. He's got the collarbone injury. He's going to be out for at least 8 to 9 weeks. Romeo Doubs, he's going to probably be targeted more in this offense moving forward. He caught a 48-yard pass in week 1 and registered the touchdown reception in week 2. He caught 8 touchdown passes 2 seasons ago, and maybe just a regular touchdown throw with additional potential targets. And the way right now, the Jordan Love is playing really good ball. I think Romeo Doubs is a great pickup. And then I talked about him in the beginning of the year, Cedric Tillman. And the first 2 games of the season, he has a touchdown catch in each of the outings, being targeted a total of 15 times. If Flacco remains the starter for Cleveland, I think Tillman's going to have the potential to post good totals in any week. Game scripts are going to probably force them to throw the ball often on a regular basis, and I think if you're looking to fill a flex spot, or especially with bye weeks coming up, he's a nice guy to stash and have for when that bye week tandem starts creeping up on us.
All right, let's do our buy low, sell high. I will start it off this week. Oh, wait, you know what? No, I forgot to mention one thing. For defenses, this is a great week for streaming defenses. I picked 2, but there's more out there. The Falcons play the Panthers on Sunday, and they're second against the pass. I think Bryce Young will have a tough time against the Falcons, so go and try to get them. The Colts are also a good play against the Titans and Cam Ward. They're 5th against the pass, and I expect the Colts to be 3-0 after Cam Ward having another tough game. So those are just some defenses to stream. But now it's time to buy low. Buy low, I have Travion Henderson. Henderson was one of the most hyped up players this offseason, and a lot of fantasy managers saw the path to greatness. However, as of late, Henderson just hasn't produced for fantasy. He isn't getting carries, which can be scary, but he is still a rookie running back. In week 2, he had 3 carries for 10 yards and 2 catches for 30 yards with 6 fantasy points. Not great. However, I'm still a believer in Travion Henderson in Henderson. In my leagues, he's currently the running back 31, 32, 34, and 32. I'm sure someone out there in your league would be okay to get rid of him due to the lack of his production, and I would be happy to buy the dip. Now, I'm going to sell high on another rookie running back. Great logic here. This one is tough, but I'm selling Ashton Genty high. For Genty, he has 81 rushing yards on the season from 30 attempts and 1 touchdown. Last night, he only had 11 attempts for 43 yards and 3 catches for a yard. It's been disappointing for Genty, and I think he is a big name that you can trade for a big hole right now. So those are my buy low, sell high for the week. Jeff, who do you got?
Yeah, that's some deep fantasy insider stuff.
Wow. So I've got my buy low is Kyren Williams. I mean, listen, I know Corum got the goal line touchdown. I know everyone's talking about that. Oh my gosh, he's eating into Kyron's workload. I don't buy it. Kyren, he's an easy trade target because number one, he's just a boring player to own, and I love that. I love the mundane guys who are just going to go in there. They're going to get that touchdown. They're going to come away with 15 to 18 fantasy points. And there you go. That's all I need. But yeah, he's not exactly. He had a decent game. He had 10 points, but he's averaged 17.5 carries over the first 2 games of the season. He just hasn't been very effective with them. But he did score the touchdown in week 1 to give himself a nice week. Next week's going to be, or this week rather, is going to be another tough one. They've got Philadelphia. But that might make it even easier to convince the Kyren owner to part with him. He's one of the few bell cow backs in the league who isn't ceding a significant share to the backfield. And I'm looking to get him, especially when they get into these tougher matchups. I mean, listen, the Eagles defense, is it as good as it was last year? I'm not sure yet. I mean, they couldn't, they could have looked a lot better than they did against Kansas City, but we'll see. But I'm definitely looking for Kyren Williams in my leagues that I don't have him. I'm looking to acquire him just because he's so stable and he's still got a great work share. And then who I'm selling high on, it's T. Higgins. I'm not worried about the Jamar Chase cliff falling off a cliff. I am concerned about T. Higgins moving forward just based off of what I saw in this past game. I mean, Jamar Chase was hyper targeted. He had 16 targets and caught 14 of them. T. Higgins, he saved his day. He scored 14.6 fantasy points in PPR with the touchdown, but he only caught 3 of his 8 targets for 56 yards. To me, Jamar Chase, yeah, he's a tier down right now. He's probably not going to be the wide receiver 1 overall, but he's still got wide receiver 1 upside, and I think T's unfortunately going to play second fiddle. So, if you can get at it on T. Higgins, I'd look to get on him this week.
Jeff, the only question I have is with Kyren Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Is Blake Corum, man. They seem to be putting him in on the goal line. They seem to be getting those goal line carries. So that's
he got the. I mean, listen. If you watch the game, the Rams were doing whatever they wanted to do to the Titans. The Titans did not have any answers for them, and Corum basically got in there on the goal line in garbage time.
Right.
When the game's on the line, I mean, he leans on his guys. He's going to use up Kyren Williams until Kyren Williams has nothing left.
Right.
He's still great on passing downs. I think when they're in these tougher games, like especially against Philadelphia this week, when they're in tougher games, they're going to put the ball in Kyren's hands. So I'm a believer in Kyren. They've drafted. I believe they've drafted, I think, 8 straight running backs the last years. And Kyren Williams,
he weathers the storm.
Yeah, he weathers the storm. Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, I like Jarquez Hunter. I think he's very explosive. Blake Corum, to me, is just another Kyren Williams. And they paid Kyren Williams this year. Blake Corum, he's there. He's great, whatever. He's a nice handcuff to have, but I just like Kyron Williams. He's stable. I have him in plenty of leagues, and he's just that solid running back too. And he'll have those weeks where he gives you that running back one upside. Just the way it is.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, well, let me give you my buy low, sell highs. My buy low is going to be Brian Thomas Jr. 1 for 11 week 1, 4 for 49 week 2. He gets Houston this week, which could be a great bounce back game. Now, we do got to monitor this injury that wasn't really reported, but the guy was a beast last year. They're going to figure out, Liam Combs going to figure out how to get him the ball and get things done. And right now, you probably have a really frustrated fantasy owner with him because you drafted him probably in round 1 or early round 2. So now's the time to attack for buying low. Now, my sell high candidate is going to be one Ken Dog Walker. Week 1, Zach Charbonnet outsnapped him 29-20. Week 2, Sharbs was named the captain, by the way, voted captain, and outsnapped him 15-14. Yes, Ken Dog Walker did get to the 100 yards, but I think we can all see the writing on the wall here. Charbonnet is definitely the guy. The team loves him. They have faith in him. He probably is looking like he's got a lot more juice, especially on that practice field. And you're starting to see in the games that the coaches are having a lot more faith in that guy. Now, one thing I want to bring up, you guys. Someone mentioned about the Eagles D, Jeff, I think. Listen, when Coach Reed went for it on 4th down on his side of the 50, and the Eagles stopped him, to me, that was a back-breaking moment, and that was because of our Eagles' amazing defense. And then the dagger of the game was, what's his name, Makubi? How do you say that, Matt? Makubi?
Andrew Makuba.
Andrew Makuba. Let me tell you, the guy's a beast. Gets the dagger pick, and I think that Eagles defense. Look, it is a different team. Got rid of a lot of different players and a lot of different pieces in there now. So they're figuring it out. They're gelling together. But I think at the end, I'm watching. Me and Matt, I know, and I know Jeff. We all watch a lot of football all day, Sunday, Monday, Thursday. I'm not seeing who's going to beat them. Who's going to do it? The one team that impresses me is maybe Green Bay. They look pretty good.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this Rams team, I think they can do it.
Really?
I do. I really like having Devontae Adams, having Puka Nacua, Stafford's healthy. Like this is the time. The Rams. This is the time if the Eagles are going to be beat. Because I don't think the offense looks very good right now. I mean, did they throw for over 100 yards in this past game against Kansas City?
Listen,
I'm not sure.
I'd have to look. But again, Kansas City doesn't really have any weapons either. They have no Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy's out with the shoulder injury. Travis Kelce is 60 years old. Like Tyquan Thornton's getting bombs in the end zone, which is great. But like Patrick Mahomes can't do everything. I just feel like if anyone's going to match them, like right now the Rams defense is playing very well. I think their offense hasn't really hit a ceiling yet. Puka looks incredible. He's all over the field. Devontae's, he's catching fire. And then you've got the backfield right now with Kyron mixing in with everyone else. I do think it's going to be a great game. And if anyone has a shot right now to beat them in the NFC, it's got to be the Rams and the Packers for me, like you said before, Henry. I'm really looking forward to this game against the Eagles and Rams this week. I think it's going to be an incredible game.
I just think with this new offensive coordinator, I think they're still figuring some stuff out. They did get over 100 yards passing, barely by one, but they are facing Spags who blitzed, I don't know, was it 70% of the time, which is insane. And that obviously
didn't really
work out well for
he's done in a long time or something. I saw something weird.
Yeah, I mean, that was a little nuts, but they are still figuring it out. And, they're putting it together. They'll be home this week.
Listen, I remember the
We were also
past Super
the
Bowl.
first team to win a Super Bowl and not have a back-to-back home game. So that's great.
Yes.
They hate us.
They don't like us that much. But that's okay. They want to ban the tush push. Okay. That is going to be it for this episode of the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Anything else, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, if all the offensive linemen are going to be lining up offsides for the tush push, maybe it should be looked at.
Okay, that's what it is.
Listen, I'm a firm. If you cannot stop a play, I'm a firm believer you need to get better. But I mean, there's pictures of it, and the pictures, they do not do the tush push any justice when it's not getting called. I'm just saying from those top angles. But I love the tush push.
They're very deceiving. Those angles, very deceiving.
Yes.
Don't listen to him, Jeff. He saw exactly what he saw. All right. All right. Everyone, all good. If you're not listening to Kick-Ass Fantasy Football, you're probably calling Elikiah Manor Elick. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to another edition of the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter at KAF Football.